Hello, hello. We are back live from our studios. How is everyone doing at home? We say welcome to everyone. As you can see to my right or left on your screen, we have Dr. Deanna Cole with us. She will be helping us understand everything, or at least the psychological aspect of being a trader. I'm sure a lot of people in the audience will be eager to hear all about that. How is everyone doing? Let's get this started. Um, Diana, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I had a great weekend and celebrated my birthday and been doing great. How
Wow,
about you?
congratulations.
Thank
Uh,
you.
on behalf of everyone, um, how was your trading this week? Because have you been trading already? Have you started? I know it's quite early for you, being on that part of the world, right?
Yeah, it is. I started last night just because the NASDAQ was moving, the indices were moving. And so it was a bit of a exciting open last night and continued through the night. I eventually went to sleep. So unfortunately, I didn't get to participate in all of it, but it's still, you know, a wild ride this morning. So still kind of popping around.
Yes, the market is definitely moving, and it's the indices that started that move remarkably. So I think there's a lot of things we can talk about because, of course, we know for those who are in the following the fundamental side of things, there has been some news coming out of China, right? And that is what was the trigger of what is happening on Nasdaq, especially Nasdaq, because of those AI sector, expectations. But we'll talk all about that during this stream. So I invite everyone to join us, and stay tuned because we will discuss everything that could affect your trading day on this stream. And if you like what you see today, hit that like button, subscribe to us, and make this stream even better than it already is. Um, all right, so let's look at the. Jonathan will be joining us shortly. But in the meantime, there you go. He is in the background and will be uh, joining us anytime soon, anytime now. So the yes, I was looking at. Of course, we have uh, the rate decision this week as well, right? Fed's rate decision. We have ECB, and if I'm not mistaken, also the Bank of right, the Great Britain, right, the UK. So it's going to be. Without that news coming out of China already, it would have been a very volatile or higher than usual volatility. So, but with that news, with that indices moving like they are, the futures that is,
Yeah.
the I know this can be a great week for us as trader
Mhm.
because it will give us those. Look at Bitcoin, for example. Bitcoin is being reacting quite violently, and it's no surprise, of course, because it also has within the expectation of Bitcoin. There's also that EA, you know, expectation built in. So it's going to be. I think it's a. What do you think? I think it's a great opportunity for everyone who was on the sidelines, who haven't allocated their capital completely, at least to what they wanted to be have to wanted to hold in BTC, right? What are your
Mhm.
your thoughts on that, Diana?
I haven't personally got into trading Bitcoin yet. I'm definitely more and more interested with the new president coming in. I've been watching it, but I personally just have not dove in, taken the deep dive yet into
Yeah.
trading Bitcoin. So I do think it's going to be interesting over the next 4 years to just see what happens. And it does look very similar to the NASDAQ this morning as far as taking a huge dive overnight and has actually recovered quite a bit this morning, similar again to the NASDAQ. But with that much momentum to the downside, I would definitely, I'm willing to play the long side, but I would definitely be looking more for continuation to the downside, most likely. When
Yeah,
it
I
says,
think I think yeah, I think well, I'm not I don't trade Bitcoin, but if there's any implication, any truth, and I suppose what they the news that came out isn't based on rumors, right? So um I would expect that as this more people realize what is really implicate, it's going to have a bigger move, I would suspect, right?
mm-hmm.
And Alex in the background, or in the chat, actually asking about Jonatan. Jonatan is right here with us. He is in the background and will be joining us anytime now. So let's uh, let's look at Hamid congratulating Dr. Deanna Cole on your birthday. That's
Thank
very
you.
nice.
So nice. I see a lot of birthday wishes in there. Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun celebrating with my family, and we had beautiful weather here. So thank you for the well wishes. And good morning, Marina.
Nice. All right, so let's look at the market. I'm going to be adding my screen to look at. Let's look at let's first look at the Nasdaq. I'm gonna put my screen on. So, and then we can come back to, of course, the pairs we trade, right?
Yeah, so the NASDAQ overnight started its move really, really right at the open, basically. It's fairly uncommon, not uncommon, but we have not seen recently a gap like this, where the NASDAQ had a pretty significant gap down and then major continuation to the downside. Absolutely wiped out the lower part of last week and then into the week prior. So went all the way from, last week closed at almost 22,000 and has made it as low as 20,765. So in just, let's say 16 hours or so, we've seen, is that 1,000 points, 1,000-point move? Yeah, 1,000 points, over 1,000 points. So that's pretty incredible move to start the week for a Monday.
It is.
I was
It
not
is.
expecting that.
Yeah, as we can see, it retraced the 7 or actually 6 days of trading in terms of coming back to those structures, those order blocks, right? That's what they do. They hold price in their demand areas, but it made this savage kind of move. So it's going to be interesting, very interesting to see how this pans out. Let's look at EU, since that is what we have been looking for, that reversal coming in. And we have seen that last week, how that reversal is getting more meat to it, right? It is no longer a possibility, but it's actually broken all the necklines on, let's say, this is being the head. As you know, I always look at the quasi, the looking for that quasi pattern in the market, and this being the head, and we had a proper break of a neckline, which would be this D1 neckline, and that would be the left shoulder, of course. I'm waiting for price to come back to these areas to be trading it as a daily signal. Nonetheless, it has broken structure, which is, to me, that's the confirmation. Breaking the neckline means we have a reversal in praise. The question is, are we going to look for the entry as a continuation right away, right? Where we are right now, or are we waiting for price to perhaps come into some demand area? What I would be doing personally is I would wait on the daily time frame for a daily signal, right? Those daily signals are, of course, swing trades, only if it comes back to one of these demand area, which is not, it's not going to happen overnight anytime soon, but we that's on the swing perspective, or the swing eyes lenses. If I'm going to be just trading the intraday, of course I would be going to deeper, not deeper, closing, focusing in on more current, recent time time frames, and we can see that there is an order block where which this already happened, right? So the retest already happened, but I will be looking for structures like these telling us, because as long as it is on that path of continuation, follow through on breaking those higher time frame structures, it is going to have, since the market doesn't go in a straight line up, it's going to come back to some demand areas, and that's where I would be wanting to look for that entry, for that continuation. And the next question is, well, how high can this go? Well, I don't have any structure. I don't have any structure in close by. If we look at the monthly, which isn't a great structure to be looking because it's much bigger time frame, we broke this structure, which can be used in the future as a flipped area, right? Was a demand zone. It could be a monthly supply zone. We could see some reaction from that zone as it is being retested, or not retested, revisited for the first time after being broken. So that could be something, an idea of where we could see a possible swing trade to, tap and perhaps have some retracement. But as you can see on the weekly, we don't have any structure all the way up to this order block, which is, it's not even here. It is an expansion of an earlier, bigger order block, but that's the weekly. As you can see, we have a lot of room before we tap into anything of significance, and the earlier swing high would be all the way much higher. So as we can see here, this is the daily time frame. We still have, from the low of today, quite some 175 pips, and from current prices, that's going to be about 109, meaning this continuation push can still continue for some time, even a couple of days before on the higher time frame we have anything that could indicate, be a reason for prices to slow down. So keep that in mind, everyone. Let's see. How are you? What do you think of EU, Diana? I see we have Jonatan with us.
Yeah, can I just jump in and say hello, everyone? I'm a bit late here. I had some issue with what I thought first. The reason why we did this, we started so late was first because we thought we had some issue with Victor's mic, but apparently it was issue with my headset. So I restarted, and then that didn't work because I apparently clicked that little thing on the browser that shuts up all the sound from the browser, and I had to restart the computer, and that was rather stupid of me. But Deanna, I want to officially welcome you to the trading room. I think this is the first live stream that we actually do have together. And I'm seeing something about a birthday. It's not your birthday, is it? And now I can't hear Deanna. Is it me again?
You're muted. Deanna,
am I muted?
No, Diana's muted.
Sorry about that. You're
okay.
Right.
No problem.
Perfect.
Yes, it was my birthday over the weekend. Not to give you another microphone scare, but yes, I celebrated. My birthday was Friday, but I celebrated over the weekend.
Right. Well, happy birthday and welcome here to the trading room. For those of you who do not know, Deanna is officially joining us here in the trading room, and I've talked about how we're going to be expanding this and how we're going to be evolving the content and the trading room that we're delivering here for you guys. And Deanna is going to get her own segment, her own very own segment within a larger trading room that's going to be focused on, her trading style and also, of course, trading psychology. And I'm super excited to have someone who's experienced with trading psychology in the live trading room. I really do feel like that's something that we've been missing, and it's such a huge part of trading, the mental side of this. So I'm very excited to have you on board, and just wanted to welcome you in a more of a official way.
Thank you.
So what are we looking at here? We're looking at Euro USD. Can I?
Yes, we were. I was just saying that we had the break on Friday we had a break and a close of that neckline that was broken. So we officially are in a we have a reversal in play, and but this can doesn't mean it's going to, well, personally I'm waiting for price to come much lower to be entering on a daily time frame. But the question is, how far can this continue to go? And I don't have anything all the way up to the monthly flipped, potentially flipped structure up there. So we still have a lot of room for continuation. And the question is, where do we play with this? Are we too late? Is this? Do we still have more in store for us?
Well, Victor, I would say that you're too late. I'm exactly on time, because I did enter this last week. And let me just share my screen and show you all my absolute beautiful entry that I did get here on Euro USD.
Rubbing it in.
No, so I've been looking at Euro USD here for quite some time. I think what I was looking for is a shift in sentiment, a sort of like a cycle low, and we have two weekly candle bullish candles here. The second weekly candle closed obviously on this Friday. It's the first time that we had two weekly candles since we had this push to the downside. If you look at this move to the downside looks a lot like this up move right here. A lot of momentum, a lot of volatility, a very strong move. And we're looking at this and I'm thinking, there has to be a bottom at some place. Markets do not move in a straight line. There has to be some sort of move back to the mean, so to say. So we looked at the weekly. We saw that we had a good level being hit. That was the previous support right here. Hit that level, had a weekly bullish candle, failed to close above that level. Going down into the daily, we do see, like Victor has already explained, the break of structure. And going down to the 4 hour, on the close of that daily, we also had a very good break and retest. Where is my favorite toolbar? It is gone. I can't find it. There it is. Perfect. Okay, so we had that break and retest right here. Perfect, beautiful. 4 hour trend confirmed. Break of structure. Now, because we have this type of break of structure in a time where I do feel like we're seeing a sentiment shift. Remember that this move picked up momentum after Donald Trump won the election. Now that Donald Trump, after inauguration, is in the White House and he started talking about tariffs in a slightly different way, it may be his, backtracking a bit on the threat of tariffs. We're seeing I believe, a shift in sentiment, and this could be the catalyst that needed to see a cycle low. So I'm actually looking at Euro USD to move from 103 to up around the 107 area, and we might potentially reach the overall cycle high or the range high up here. So we're talking about potentially somewhere between 300 pips or even 500, 600, or 700 pips move to the upside, and that's the type of moves that I like to get in on early, and then I like to hold that position for as long as possible before that daily trend is breaking. Now, of course, we all trade in very different ways, but I'm looking at the bigger moves right here. So I'm comfortably long Euro USD, and I'm going to most likely be staying long for the next couple of weeks, maybe even months, and start adding to this position. And my end. If we're gonna put a time on this, I would say around August. Around August, I think we could be seeing the top of this current move is what I'm looking at, and that move might look something like this, where we have that being the top, retrace quite significantly before moving up here. I don't think it's going to be as brutal as this move down here. But yeah, definitely something to watch out for. And just to add on this idea, we're now seeing USD CHF having a very clear head and shoulders top at the cycle highs, at the range highs, for a possible move down to range lows. So I'm short on this right now. Looking at NCD USD, same thing happening here, reaching a level that we have not hit since October 2022. And we now see the same developments as on EU. So we are currently seeing very strong indications. You can look at AD USD as well. Strong level, reach a point here where we are most likely going to see some type of move back to the mean. So I do believe that we're at a place where a possible new cycle in the Forex market for the next couple of months are beginning.
They're asking in the in the audience how your leg is doing, Jonatan.
Oh, my leg. Oh, well, it's my foot, but it's wonderful. I started walking. Just all of a sudden, I kind of like I started walking. I don't know what happened. 2 weeks, started walking. Well, I look like I'm 70, but I'm walking, which is much better than being on crutches, because I have to ask my fiance for everything. Oh, can you get me a glass of water? Could you do this? Could you do that? And I think she's getting a bit tired. She hasn't said anything, but pretty sure she's getting a bit tired. So I'm very happy that I'm able to walk with my both my hands free.
Nice.
That's good.
So on Thursday, I'm going to the doctors, and they're gonna, as they put it, they're gonna teach me how to walk again.
Oh.
That's gonna be interesting. Yeah.
Well, good thing
you
is
might
that
not-
you have.
It sounds funny, but you might not be able to walk at all. You might have lost enough muscle that you'll just kind of, you might need a
Well,
little
thank you.
reminder how to do it.
Thank you for that encouragement.
Only
No,
for a
well,
minute
yeah,
or two.
It is definitely like I can definitely feel. I think the broken bone wasn't the biggest problem. The biggest problem was the, I don't know how to call it, the sprained ankle or the strained ankle or whatever that's called. I think that's the biggest issue. But yeah, luckily I don't really have to walk to make money, so I'll just be sitting around here.
Yeah,
You
that
want
is indeed
Yeah.
a fortune, right? Indeed a fortune that you're not dependent on your legs or your mobility to perform.
I know we're talking about the markets and we're talking about trading here, but I would really like to pick your brains on trading psychology, Deanna. I'm pretty sure that's something you get asked a lot about, and you probably talk a lot about, and hopefully you're not tired of it yet. But I think it's such an important concept here. Now that we do have the time to actually talk with someone who has the experience and the knowledge in this field, I would love to get the audience to also ask questions to Deanna, so we can get a discussion going here on what I believe is the most important part of trading, which is the psychology part. And I would like to kind of throw something out there. The different personalities, right? I mean, we all have very different personalities and trading styles, and we have to find that trading style that fits with your personality.
Right.
So if we look at two of the extremes, right? We look at swing trading, and then we look at scalping. Would you say that there's certain personality traits that go hand in hand with swing trading that does not work well with swing trading? I mean, scalping, I mean. Yeah.
Absolutely. Used to drive me crazy when I would hear traders say, you have to find a trading style that fits you. And I would think, I will adapt to whatever trading style makes me money. I forget a trading style that fits me. I want to do whatever will make me money. But then I just heard you talk about holding your position until the end of August or into August or something like that. And to me, that is a perfect illustration of where personality fit is an actual thing. I am a button pusher. I enjoy pushing the buttons and being active in the market. And I could fight that and work on holding a position until August. But instead, I found a method that works for me and is very active, and it works. And I'm assuming with your personality, it's the same thing. You're better off. Again, you could fight it and find a system that's super fast. But that might not fit as easily with your personality. And then in addition to just the general stress of trading, you have the stress of sort of not being in a good fit with your trading system. So I absolutely think your personality has a big piece of it. The amount of risk you're willing to take, how fast you want to enter and exit, all of those things, how much time you want to spend on the screens, all of that stuff, lifestyle, not only personality, but lifestyle is a huge part of what's going to be the best fit for you.
I think it's Very interesting that you mentioned that, because I was in a meeting before this live stream and I had a conversation about just this. And I remember, I did my end of year review. I looked at my journal and I remember seeing, and this was just a regular end of year review for my, personal life, not really in relation to trading. But of course, in that journal, I also write a lot about trading because it's what we do. But I did see that almost every day there was something about stress in relationship to trading, and I figured out that, what, this is not going to work. I mean, I have to look at what am I doing here? Why am I stressing over the fact that trading might not be working out the way I want it to work out? And then I looked at my trading and I said, you know what, I'm trying to be an active trader. I'm trying to be someone who I'm not. Like, I'm not supposed to be taking many quick decisions in a day because I'm not that type of fast thinker. And I decided that, you know what, I'm just going to take a break from active trading and let my kind of emotions decide on what I want to be trading. And here I am in a few very good positions that I really feel like I would not care if they lose me money. Like, there's no commitment at all. It's just totally effortless. If this would be on the 5 minute or the 50 minute, I would have closed these positions for a very long time ago. I would have panicked, So I feel like it takes time to understand who you are, but it that idea of understanding what your weaknesses are or what your strengths are, and for me, I saw that my weaknesses are impulsiveness. Okay, being impulsive in a bad way is not good for the lower time frames.
Right.
And I feel like that type of the negative traits that cause me to make mistakes on the lower time frames is helping my creativity in a sense. Like, that impulsivity fuels a lot of my creativity, which helps me in creating ideas for long-term trading. But it's taking me many years to realize this. So my question to you is, how do you understand, or how do you find those weaknesses and the strength,
Well, I think I'll just talk about myself as a trader. When I had the biggest sort of breakthrough was when I just said, I am going to allow myself to click the button as many times as I want to do it. And so, the safest way to do that obviously is forward testing. But prop can be another way. That's what I ended up doing, was trading prop and just saying, look, I have some money set aside that I am going to trade with abandon. Just trade whatever I think, however I think, and just see what happens. And I knew that I was going to have to pay some challenge fees, and some challenges would be lost. And I accepted that and said, for me, I'm okay with that. I just really want to click the buttons as many times as I need to. And I learned so much from doing that. In the past, prior, I had always tried to be really, really careful and do the right thing, although I didn't really feel like I actually knew what the right thing necessarily was. And so my being careful really was not very instructive for me. And so when I decided I'm just going to trade like crazy and learn, it was really freeing for me. And yes, I lost accounts and I lost challenges and this type of thing, but I learned so much that when I kind of ended, I had a really good sense of, like you said, who I am, what my personality is, what works for me, what is actually an impulsive trade versus what is me acting on my intuition. It was really, really helpful. And, we're really lucky to do that. You can do that with your personal account, but obviously that would be very dangerous. With prop firm, it's not so dangerous, especially when you're in a challenge. And with forward testing, it's not dangerous at all. So I think there's a lot to be said for just giving it a try. If you're not sure what the right thing to do is, if you don't know what your personality is, as you're still figuring it out, just try and find a way that you can be free to just trade and see what sticks for you.
That's
I'm
interesting.
not sure if that totally answers your question, but that's the first thing that comes to mind is just let go some of the restrictions that we put on ourselves when we're still learning, and just try to trade as many reps as possible to really learn. You know, if you were a baseball player and you went to batting practice and said, I'm only going to swing at the very best pitches, right, in the batting cage, you would greatly, greatly, greatly reduce the amount of swings that you took. And that might not be a great thing. Now, I'm not saying you want to swing at everything, but you want to take some risk in that practice environment. And again, with prop, there's, you know, obviously if you've got a funded account and you're well on your way, that's not the best time to do it. But there are different points in your trading career where you're going to just want to say, you know what, I'm just at batting practice and I'm just going to swing at everything and see what fits for me. I don't mean literally everything, but just have a little more freedom in experimenting.
That's a really good advice. I think because I mean, it comes from experience, right? I mean, there's no easy answer to this question. I mean, and I remember reading Trading in the Zone as well. Mark Douglas had that exercise at the end of the book where he talked about only taking certain trades, but having an account with a certain value that you're okay with losing everything. And then you take that account and you take every trade that fits with the criteria, no matter what, and then track your emotions and see how you feel doing that, and trying different things. And I think that's the I think that's the right approach. Try a lot of things and then see what works best, basically. So there is no easy fix. There is no easy answer to this. It's just you have to get out there and lose some money, basically, right?
Right. And luckily for us, there's many ways you can do that. I mean, when I first started trading, there was no prop firm. There was no, maybe there was forward testing on TradingView. I didn't know about it. So I was very limited. It was either my personal funds or some type of trying to record the TradingView price or whatever. And now we have the luxury of just saying, it depends on the person, right? Not everybody has, disposable, I don't want to say disposable money, but money that you can truly pay as your market's tuition. Because you can pay tuition to the market by, taking big risk in a personal account, or you can say, you know what, I'm going to use this money to really learn how to trade. And I don't really remember hearing anybody say that. I kind of feel like I came to that, at least in my mind, I came to that on my own, where I just said, you know what, I am being so careful and my hands are tied and I'm trying so hard to do the right thing. And the truth is, I don't really know what the right thing is exactly. I had a system that I thought I knew pretty well, but I felt like I kept adding all these rules, don't trade this time of day, don't trade this news event, don't, trade, Tuesday afternoon or whatever it was. And the reality is just opening the door to be like, do whatever you want, do whatever you want, really experience, not just see it happen, but experience what worked and what didn't. And through that process, I learned some things about my system and really refined it much better. It was totally worth it for me. And again, there's no shame in failing a challenge, but I shared this last time I was on with Victor, that when I first started trading prop firm with the 5ers, I did some challenges and I passed a challenge and I was funded and I was so excited. And boy, there was stress for me at a certain point where I got in drawdown and I kind of panicked and it just started going worse and worse and worse. Eventually, I blew the challenge or the funding, and it sent me back pretty brutally. I was really, really shaken by it. And looking back, that was such the wrong perspective to take. I wish I could go back in time and say, you know what? It is what it is. That is where you are in your journey right now. Now you know how to pass the challenge. So you are one step ahead of where you were 6 months ago, but you're not done yet. And so, in the last year or so, when I was passing challenges, that is the mentality I adopted, and it worked. It really, really helped me feel a lot freer. I knew how to pass challenges, but there were still certain roadblocks that I would encounter as a trader, and that's okay. That's just part of where you're at in your trading journey, and that's okay. I think there's a tendency for us to think that trading is like riding a bike. Maybe you fall off a few times in the beginning, but once you figure it out, you're on your way, riding your bike, doing your thing. And really, it's more like learning how to, I guess like ice skate or play hockey, where maybe you put your skates on, you're wobbly at first, you fall down, and then you get pretty good and you can be a little smoother, but you're still falling down. And then you need to take it to the next level where you put a hockey stick in your hands. And then it's like skating is hard again because now you're trying to use a hockey stick plus skate. It's much more of a process like that than it is just getting on a bike and riding. And so we have to be gracious to ourselves that, of course, you're not going to learn this without repetition and experience and doing something over and over again. I don't know what it is about the trading community that we have this idea that we're just going to figure it out and then we're going to know how to do it. Trading is simply not like that, at least in my experience and what I hear from other people. It is much more dynamic than just figuring it out at some point.
I think especially now, Victor, I'm gonna let you speak, Victor. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I find a couple of minutes ago very interesting what you were saying. That perspective or that idea that you want to consciously be swinging at not very selectively, but at everything, right? Just so you get repetition in and you get to the feeling of how it is to do all kinds of things that may not be right to do or might not be well timed or well selected. But that's not the idea. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to just swing, as many times as you can so you can get the feeling how it is to just swing. That's not necessarily being profitable. And that is, I think, very, very important because we, as traders, and I've been guilty of that as well in my journey, at the beginning, we think that it is the purpose of this account. Let's say at the beginning, you or anyone has an account. We tend to think the purpose is to make profit,
right?
While we're not consistently profitable yet, that shouldn't be the purpose. The purpose is to learn, to practice, and we typically we overestimate our abilities, right? So much when we get into this idea, and you're touching on that as well on the latter part where you said that we tend to think as traders that we can figure it out, right? We are so overestimating our abilities while doing that. The purpose at the beginning, until your data shows you that you're week in, week out profitable, and not even weeks, actually months, the purpose should be to gain knowledge, gain practice. And I like what you mentioned about just going there and swinging at everything, quote unquote, because that will help you do get those muscle memory in, learn what is and what isn't goes well with you. And I think so important. We tend to think that shift you mentioned where you didn't think of that time where you lost that funding, you didn't think of it as a lesson. You thought of it of a failure. When that's the paradigm shift that we need every learning trader needs to have. Is it's not about the profits, it's about learning a craft. And when we switch your mentality to that, then that losing the funding, for example, and that happens to everyone, becomes actually a place where you can learn. You should be going back and analyzing that, and that this applies to everyone who is, not there yet. And even if you are, there's always lessons to be learned, because you're never, never gonna reach that ideal. It's something you work towards, but we're always learning. So I think it's very interesting what you said, Diana, about that shift that we traders tend to have, especially at the beginning of our journey.
Yeah, I know for me, so I'm reading through the questions here, and somebody is asking about what would be the signs that indicate that trading is becoming a vice. That kind of fits with what we're saying too. In the beginning for me, I just wanted to trade, but I of course wanted to do well also. And so, like I said, then I started putting restrictions on myself, trying to do less, maybe limiting how many wins or losses I could have in a day, just trying all these different things. And the reality is, once I started to really figure out how to be profitable, it was no longer hard to, or I shouldn't say no longer hard, it was much less difficult to make the foolish decisions. I'm not saying I trade perfectly still. I still make mistakes and do impulsive, reckless trades. But in a lot of ways, that diminishes over time when you realize, I know exactly what I'm looking for. I know what I need to happen on the chart. It's not as rewarding to take trades just impulsively then. Again, not that you ever maybe fully come out of that, but it just feels like a lot freer to think, it's not a vice. It's just something that I do. And when you think of it as just it's almost like taking it a little less seriously, taking yourself a little less seriously. You wouldn't go to your first year of, a doctorate program is like 6 years of education. You wouldn't go into your first or second year and say, yeah, I know how to ace the final exam now. You're not there yet, right? So why, as traders, do we go in as beginners or even intermediate traders and say, yeah, I should be able to do this perfectly, execute perfectly, understand all the nuances of trading. Trading is so complex and so complicated. It's possible, but it's not as easy as, just going in and following some simple system. You are part of the equation. How much risk you take is a factor. And so it's just, I think, really important as traders. Jonathan, you said that you were finding trading stressful at certain points. That is easy for that to happen, and it should not be that way, right? We should not have to feel stress when we're trading. It should just be like, we're just going to work. We're just doing our thing. This is what we do. And so when we start to feel that way, I think it's really important to say, okay, what are my thoughts behind this? If you saw the session that I did with Victor a few weeks ago, we talked a lot about the triad, like think of a triangle of your behaviors, your thoughts, and your emotions. They're all interrelated and interconnected. So if you're having emotions that are stress, right? It happens to all of us. That impacts your behavior, not only in trading, but also with your family, with your coworkers, with your friends. But looking at what is the thought that is creating that stress can be really helpful. Is it because you're taking too much risk? Is it because you're thinking this is a do or die situation? If I don't hang on to this funding or pass this challenge, it means something about me. It means something about the viability of trading. It means, what is this like big idea that you're giving to trading and the power that you're giving to it? And again, I have been guilty of all these things too. So I don't want to sound like I'm preaching that there's a certain way to do it. But I do think it's important for us to be able to calm down, relax, and say, you know what? It is what it is. Even some of the really, really big traders, really, really successful traders, I was shocked to find out just recently, some have come out on Twitter and said how much they actually, this is not for everybody, but for them, they're spending a ton of money on prop firm challenges and taking a ton of money out of those prop firms. So I think a lot of traders have this idea that once you pass a challenge, you should absolutely never fail, or it means something. And that's like a whole different thing, that a whole different way of thinking of things that people are doing. It's just a different style, right? So you don't have to be locked into your one style of pass a challenge and never, ever lose it. Yeah. As far as trading becoming a vice, you know, it does pick up some excitement in our brain and chemicals in our brain. But again, I would kind of focus on like what, maybe that's part of what you need, right? At a certain point, especially when you're learning, maybe it's not so much about it being a vice as it is like, I just need to learn this stuff and sort it out. So again, doing it in a safe environment, whatever that means for you. So whether that's a prop, whether that's a, you know, you can, if you have a TradingView subscription, I don't even know, maybe you can do it without a paid subscription, but you can do practice forward testing on there in a practice account. And you can set up a practice account for free with your subscription, maybe again with your free one as well, I don't know. And you can practice forward testing if that's the way that you need to do it. So there are a lot of options, but I do think once you understand and once you have a system developed, it's less likely to be a vice. Somebody else is saying, Vinicius, I think, is saying correcting the mistakes on live environment was the best for me as well. That's underrated, I really think. I think it can be a really helpful way to do that. I followed the same path, hard, but for me brought more. Now allowed me to know myself better.
I think you said a lot of good things here, and I'm sure the editor, when he looks through this, is probably going to create a lot of shorts based on the things you've said here, because a lot of very good comments here, and there's a lot of things to unpack here. Really, kind of going back to what we talked about a while ago, the idea of kind of like letting go and not caring too much. I think that has always been one of my biggest issue first. And I'm all, you guys know from following this, I'm always very transparent and personal when it comes to my trading journey. And from what I've felt is that I've always viewed myself as a trader. So during 2024, so last year, I entered a massive drawdown, and I think that was one of my worst year to date in trading. And a lot of that has to do with starting a live trading room and trying to become a day trader for the trading room, something that I'm not comfortable doing, and that kind of created a drawdown. And what happened at that point was I kind of looked at myself and I'm like, well, I'm a trader. Like all I am is a trader, and I'm doing this for a living. This is the way I'm making money, and now I'm in a drawdown. So what does that mean? What does that tell me about myself and my personality? And that kind of created a lot of stress as well, because if you're so dependent on making money from trading, when you're not making money, it becomes such a huge problem. And if you have no backup and you have no plan B, it creates a huge level of stress. And I mean, we're all here. I mean, I'm working for the 5ers. I'm doing these live streams. Trading is not my only income. I do trade full time, but it's not my only income. And I think for most people, probably like 99% of the people watching this, you want to view trading as a side income until you make so much money that you're actually able to live off it without stressing too much of losing that income. And that is very difficult. Very few people are able to reach that level in trading. So I think it's good for most people to view trading as a hobby that might turn into something profitable. Just like when you start your own, your own business, or you have your idea of starting your own business, you can't expect to go, start making money right off the bat. You have to, like most businesses fail, when most startups fail. So you have to have that mentality of accepting the possibility of you not being, it's very difficult is what I'm trying to say.
Mhm.
It is. It is. I think and that goes with the expectation that new traders come with, right? They think that because they see something, perhaps on social media, but what is being shown may or may not be the reality, may or may not be showing everything it takes to get there, right? And if that is the case, they are feeding themselves incorrect information about reality. The reality that they, the view, the reality, the world that the perspective that they're looking at, isn't completely real, and that's a big issue. When a trader comes in and expects to be profitable in 3 months or 6 months or even a year, to be letting go of a fixed income, right, a job, a salary, because they know a thing or two about trading. That's one of the causes why there's so much people get let down by themselves because they have too high of an expectation, or better, in another way put, they underestimate the difficulty it is, how difficult it is to become a consistently profitable trader, so much so that you're able to actually use this as your sole income. It doesn't happen that easy. There is a way, you can reach it. It is reachable, but it's not as easy as you think.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. Yeah, and it's hard even to know what is the right thing to do. I started trading full time, not profitably, but full time wise, back in like 2021, 2020, 2021. And I spent an entire year back testing because I thought that is what I've heard, do your due diligence, learn your system, back test. And again, looking back, it was a waste of my time. Not fully. It is good to look back and understand how things work, but I got into the nitty-gritty of like writing down, where I thought the execution would happen and just getting very, very detailed with it. And the problem is that's not real, right? That is historical. There's the bid, the ask, only one is shown on the chart. And so even if, like we said, somebody has asked how to control over trading, and again, I would just reiterate, maybe just don't try to control it for a little bit. Just shift to an environment that for you personally is a safe environment. So if you don't mind losing some challenge fees, okay, do that. If that is not a possibility for you, then just go trade TradingView practice account, or whatever practice account you have access to, and just trade like crazy with reckless abandon, and then really get into your stats and see if you can find any patterns or take anything away. So my, this isn't really probably the answer you were looking for, but I would say don't try to control over trading. Let go and just trade and see what happens, learn what you can learn from it. And then obviously at a certain point, you'll have to rein it in. But again, it gets much easier when you actually understand your system. It's not as tempting to take every single trade when you know this is how your system works. This is the kind of return that you're going to get. It's much easier to not have to worry about that when you have tasted the water or tested the water, so to speak. It becomes less of a temptation, I think.
Yes.
Okay. Trading. Yeah, I think we've talked a lot about trading psychology. I want to know about you, Deanna. I want to know. Well, I'm not sure. Maybe we've talked about this previously, but what type of trade? Like, what type of trader are you? How are you trading? What type of trading style are you? Are you trading, and what assets and that sort of things? I haven't really seen you explain that before.
Sure. I trade NQ futures contracts of the NASDAQ. I did start with the 5ers, trading Forex, all kinds of different pairs. because of the issue with MetaTrader, I ended up having to switch from Forex to futures because I'm in the US. And when I started, I actually found a lot of success with the series from Gil Ben-Hur. That was Gil Ben-Hur is the founder of the 5%ers, and that is actually where I first found profitability. And so I still pay attention to that stuff on my charts. If I share my charts later, you'll see that that is marked up, and I do pay attention to that. But now that I'm trading futures, NASDAQ futures, mostly I'm trading momentum. So pretty short term. I'm a day trader, so it's pretty fast trades, and I'm just looking for what is currently happening. So like, for example, today in the NASDAQ, we talked about the markets have fallen really, really hard overnight. So definitely was, trading short overnight. And then just this morning, even though the momentum is really strong to the downside, we've started to see a push higher. So I'm just kind of following the momentum and trying to ride whatever wave I can catch. I still love Forex, and I would love to be trading Forex. And maybe there'll be a path for that in the future. But yeah, that's what I'm doing for right now.
Awesome. I love the fact that you looked at Gil Ben-Hur also. His, not her, what I'm saying, his content as
And
well. It's pretty cool.
Sorry to interrupt. That series is available for free on YouTube, and I believe that the 5ers also has a special, like within the dashboard, has like a special little like series highlighted for him. If you are not sure where to start, I think that is a really, really great. It's kind of like a timeless market principle that whether you're trading Forex or futures or whatever, you can really apply that to what you're doing. And it is really helpful. It's not complicated. Again, it's something that you're going to watch Gil Ben-Hur and you're going to be like, okay, got it. And then go try and do it. And you'll realize, wait a second, not as easy when I'm trying to do it. But again, that's an example of learn what you can from him and then go and just trade it and see what you can figure out, see what sticks and see what doesn't.
Yeah, those content from Gil are indeed timeless. They are in this section, the VOD, Video on Demand section of the dashboard. Everyone who has an account can access them, but I believe some of them are also available on the website, if I'm not mistaken. But those are, and it's about supply and demand mostly, and the auction theory, brings he explains it quite well, and I think it's a must for every trader, not only for beginners. There's a very interesting question here from someone in the audience. What are your thoughts as a psychologist on self hypnosis for traders who want to become better? Is that a thing? Is it something we should be thinking about, or what are your thoughts?
So hypnosis, I is not something that I have specifically used, but I think probably along the same lines as what you mean is like meditation, visualization, relaxation. So that is, when you're talking about self-hypnosis, I suspect that's probably kind of what you mean. And I have all kinds of videos on my channel where I go through like really in depth how to do that. Anywhere from like a quick little 30-second breath routine before you start trading to kind of calm your nervous system, bring yourself into the present moment. You can also do that, a deeper dive into doing that. So like my son is a competitive lacrosse player and we work on, just like I do with trading, preparing yourself for the game, preparing yourself mentally and physically, getting your body and your mind prepared and in a good focused state. So that can be part of it, and it can include like relaxation breathing. I like to do a it's not really a meditation, but just closing your eyes and thinking about, okay, how am I going to react when I lose? What is that going to look like? What is it going to feel like in my body? What is it going to feel like in my emotions? What are the thoughts that are going to be in my head? And kind of correcting how I want it actually to be. So for example, if I know that I'm going to feel fear, I tend to feel fear, let's say when I'm trading, when I take a loss, then I'm going to focus on what am I going to do in those moments? I'm going to sit up straight. I'm going to put my shoulders back. I'm going to maybe smile, send a signal to my brain using my body. Your body doesn't know the difference between fake confidence and genuine confidence, and you can use that to your advantage. So sitting up straight makes you feel more confident. Smiling makes you feel happier and more relaxed. And your body does not, or your brain, does not know that you're just faking it until you sort of feel more relaxed. If you've ever gone to a party and you didn't want to be there and you were kind of grouchy when you showed up and you just said, you know what, I just have to fake it for the host or whatever, so I don't look rude. And then by, half hour in, you realize, oh, I'm having fun. Like I feel better. I'm in a better place. That's exactly what happens. Your brain eventually receives the signal like, okay, this is okay. We're happy that things are going well. And that can be just, kickstarted by faking it to begin with. I just want to address a couple of comments. Oh, sorry. If you want to go ahead.
No, please go ahead. But I just want to say that, the fake it till you make it. If tricking your brain, smiling even if you're not happy, that works. That really works. I mean, if you walk around at home and you're feeling like you're not feeling on your best mood. Yeah, mood is that's the right word. You look in the mirror and you smile. Like look in the mirror, look at yourself and you smile. That actually helps. And when you said, sit up straight, put your shoulders back, I'm like, I did that right now. And it's good to have those reminders because like if someone would be watching us, from the side, we would probably have a terrible posture from time to time when we're trading, and I think that really does affect us.
Mm-hmm. And that's okay. I mean, you don't have to stay like, in a military position all the time, but when you start to realize like, oh my gosh, I'm really stressed. This trade is really stressing me out. Okay, that's fine. You recognize it and now deal with it. You don't have to always be on high alert. And I love Steph Curry. There's a little short that I put on my YouTube where they show him taking shots, and whether he makes the shot or he misses the shot, his reaction is the same. You cannot tell if he made it or he lost it. As traders, that's not typically what we do. If we have a win, right, we're excited. Yes, we celebrate, and if we lose, if you're anything like me, I'm like, oh man, you're kidding me, right? That's not what we want to be doing. We want to be balanced and level. You win some, you lose some. You can do, like I said, preemptively doing the rehearsal of like, what are you going to do when you're in those situations? But you can do it in the moment too. When I'm trading, if I'm starting to feel stressed, I sometimes will do some box breathing where you inhale for 4 seconds, you hold it for 4 seconds, exhale 4 seconds, hold 4 seconds, and just help calm your nervous system. Because if anything, you don't need emotion to be impacting your rational thought, right? You want to be thinking clear and level-headed. And so helping your body to do that is really helpful. And somebody said in here, this much psychology is not necessary. And I don't totally disagree with you. If psychology is not something that you're impacted by or interested in, it may not be for you, and that's okay. Like that's okay. There are algorithmic traders or traders that use bots or EAs, and they don't, at least they report that they generally do not experience emotion, and that's fine. Like if it's not helpful to you and it's not relevant for you, how lucky, right? Just to be able to say, I'm not impacted by it. I have a friend who has said for him, he was somewhat impacted by emotion, but because of his personality and some characteristics of who he is as a person, he has very little emotion in general, which can be detrimental for him, right? It can be challenging with relationships, but it's actually helpful to him as a trader. So we're all in different places, and yeah, it doesn't mean that everybody is going to be impacted the same with psychology. And to be perfectly honest, if you were to ask me what is more important, psychology or risk, I would honestly say risk. And the reason is, risk you can be the calmest, coolest person in the world, but if you take too much risk, you are absolutely going to damage your account, destroy your account. On the other hand, if you're a nervous Nelly, that's going to make trading really, really stressful. And so you're right. It might be too much psychology for you. So lucky you. That's great. There's one other question here. Somebody said, I've noticed a pattern in my P&L where I lose after every win. Could it be psychological? And I love this question because if you think about it, it is, I don't know what your win rate is, but it is very, very, very common to have around a 50% win rate. That's about what mine is. Over a long period of time, I'm about 50%, maybe just a little bit higher than that, depending on what system I'm trading. And so it's totally normal that after a win, you would have a loss, or after a loss, you would have a win. Just like if you were flipping a coin, which is a 50%, heads and tails, it wouldn't be unusual for anything to happen. After you get a tail, it could go either way. After you get a head, it could go either way. And so it's not uncommon to see long strings in your win-loss record as well. I doubt that information in itself is not enough to know if it's psychological. That is completely normal. There could be a psychological component to it, but as far as, if that's normal, it totally could be.
Yeah, I like that. I like that remark, Diana, because the thought or misconception we have, or I say we, but most of us as trader at some point might have had, and many of us could still have it, is that we think that because we win or lost the last time around, it has any effect on the probabilities of the next trade. And that's a fallacy, right? The market, the probabilities of a setup, the next setup is not linked to the first one. Mm-hmm. But because we live in our bodies, we try to look for association between these trades, but in reality, the market doesn't, the probabilities doesn't change whether you lost or won the last time around. It has really zero relevance. So I really like that, Diana. Well said.
Great.
So what are we thinking about now? I'm kind of changing subject here, and I'm sorry if we're not done with that subject. But what are we thinking here with? I know right when I jumped in here in the beginning of the live stream, we looked at Nasdaq, and we looked at a very big move to the downside. Let me see if I can get that up here on screen. But yeah, we had a huge move to the downside, and honestly, I did look at buying this level, and I probably should have had, because usually when you have a big move like this, you get a gap down. It's just lots of selling pressure. How often does it just continue straight down? Not very often. It usually stops at support, right? I think I'll look at buying this. And what do you think, Deanna?
Well, I'm long right now. It came right into a demand zone on the 15-minute time frame. I had kind of a channel on the 4-hour that was
maybe you can share your screen.
Sure. Give me 1 second here.
I would love to take a look at that setup. And have you heard about the Chinese AI DeepSeek company? That is,
isn't that a creepy name?
It is. I didn't really think about that, but yeah, it is. It is. It's a weird name for sure. It's. But it's interesting for those of you watching here and you don't know what we're talking about. Basically, what we're talking about is a company coming out of China called DeepSeek. They were able to develop a large language model like ChatGPT in about 2 months with 3% of the cost that it takes to develop one in the US. And they did so with older chips, older GPUs, because of, obviously the US has put sanctions on, well, not sanctions, but they've stopped the exports of NVIDIA chips to kind of slow down the AI advancement in China. And now China comes out and says, well, you know what, we can do pretty much as good as you, but with a fraction of the cost with older chips, which obviously creates a bit of a panic in the market, because the US is pouring in, I would say, hundreds of billions into these companies, and China was able to do the same with like 5 million instead of hundreds of billion. It's obviously problematic, you know, for the.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry, I was gonna say something, but at the end.
Yeah, I think we're at the end.
No, I mean at the end of what you were saying.
Yeah, I think I'm at the end.
Okay, I was gonna say with a deep water exploration name of a company.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, yeah, it's very, very much underwater. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. No, but it's definitely interesting, you know, that we, and I mean, didn't Trump sign some sort of deal that would enable a massive investment into American AI companies? I think like 500 billion or something like that. Like 500 billion. What? That's fantasy money. That's like that is such a huge amount. Yeah, Stargate, 500 billion. I'm thinking 500 million is a lot of money. 500 billion, that's 500,000 million. It's difficult to understand. And then of course you have that type of deal, and you have that type of money being thrown at AI companies in America. And China is able to develop it at a fraction of the cost. And as an investor, now if you're investing in NVIDIA because of the momentum that AI is having, then you would get much more of your money in China. And I think that's what we're seeing here in the market. Yeah. I don't know where the world is going. Like Trump launching a meme coin, like Haresh is saying in the comments here, the value of that meme coin went up to 72 billion. It's also like this value that is just makes me want to launch a meme coin, you know? Crazy.
But you know, in some ways I think about too, like when I was younger, my grandpa would talk about buying a burger and, you know, fries for, maybe not fries, but a burger for like 5 cents. You know, so $1 million is no longer what $1 million used to be. Like now, I guess $1 billion is no longer what it used to be, I guess.
Yeah, it's the same in Sweden. In Sweden, we always talked about, you know, getting that first million, but 1 million Swedish kroner is about 100,000 USD. So nowadays you talk about being a dollar millionaire and not a, you know, Swedish kroner millionaire, which is 10 times as much as it was, you know, just like, you know, 15 years ago, which is crazy.
Wow. Well, so my chart is up there now. I was just going to go through. We have about 9 minutes until the US Open. And so you know, nothing that I say here is financial advice. The way I trade is pretty quick. And you can see from left to right here, I have the 1 minute, 15 minute, 4 hour, and weekly. And what I'm looking at here is, you know, I mentioned that I am long right now, but I would not be surprised to be stopped out here. The momentum, bigger picture, is definitely to the downside. I am definitely thinking that we'll see a move to the downside, and I hope to be able to hop onto that at some point. But as you can see, there has been, we found this bottom here and then pushed higher. But I, just a guess, don't think that this is likely going to be the end of it. I suspect we're going to see more move to the downside at some point here. So if we're looking at, what happened here, the weekly on the right, it's pretty amazing. We've had already, just since last night, this massive move down. So, you look at what happened the 2 prior weeks, basically price reversed that in less than 24 hours. So pretty strong move down. Looking at the 4-hour, we had this, obviously the NASDAQ has been a long-term uptrend, but then we started to have these moves down, higher or lower lows and lower highs. And then we just started to see this move up. And so I think it was last week, we finally broke out of that. And then at the end of the week, broke above this 4-hour high. Couldn't make it above the next one though. And then just a massive drop. So I was looking to see a drop back into this channel line and maybe see a push from there, but price just absolutely plowed through it. So definitely strong momentum to the downside. I would prefer to be short, but right now price has just been moving higher. So this is the 15-minute time frame. I was mentioning before the supply and demand stuff with that I learned from Ben Hur. I use a nice little indicator here that I really like on TradingView. It's called MSB order block. And it's a free tool on TradingView that you can look into. This is a little bit of a demand area, and you can see price came all the way through it and pushed really strongly from there. But because of the momentum here to the downside and with the open coming, I'm definitely thinking that we're likely to see some move lower. I don't think it makes a lot of sense to think that we're going to see this much momentum to the downside and then we're just going to, create a V higher, although we have seen crazier things happen. So you never know. Always, for me, just wanting to react to what is currently happening at the moment. And at the moment, there's been a really nice push higher. But like I said, 5 minutes from now, we could see a change, or, maybe not. Maybe the open will be kind of lazy. We saw that quite a few times last week where the open came and nothing really happened until like 10, 11 o'clock. So that's what I'm looking for right now. Long for now, but definitely preferring and to find an entry to the short side.
Okay, so you're long right now, but you want to, you feel like you want to flip short.
If, it's kind of hard because I'm saying don't anticipate, but I just suspect with that much downside move, that is where we'll go today. However, at the moment, the right thing for me, because of what price is actually doing, is still long. And so it seems like we will see further downside, but the right move for me right now is still to the upside for now. But again, that just speaks to the fact that you can have multiple scenarios in a day where you're wrong multiple times. You get stopped out multiple times, and that's okay. You just continue to go along with what price is doing. At least for a short-term trader. If you're a longer-term trader, that's probably not what you're going to be doing. But that's how I do it.
How many hours in a day do you trade? Because I do understand that you have a specific session where you're trading.
I really don't limit myself. I pay a lot of attention to sort of like my success at any given hour. And by day. So like, I'm very aware of what days are my best days. I do trade every day, including Sunday. But I pay attention to, maybe 2:00 in the afternoon isn't a good time for me. Then I don't trade that time. I do take a break midday to walk my dogs, de-stress, breathe some fresh air, and like mentally reset my trader brain. But I don't know. I kind of, I work from home, so it kind of varies. I don't have a great answer for that.
Well, I think that's a good answer, though. I think that's
It is.
you trade when you feel like you're when you should be trading, right? I think
Yeah,
that's
just whatever the statistics tell me. For a while there, I was trading the Asian session a ton. It was working really, really well for me. And as time went on, it kind of became clear that that was not working so great. And so I stopped trading the Asian session as heavily, and then just now it started to pick up again. And so I'm just constantly trying to monitor my statistics and pay attention to where things seem to be working best, and then try to focus my energy and attention at those times.
it does seem like the market is it kind of wants to come down lower. It feels like it wants to come down lower. I guess it depends on the at the U.S. Open here. We're gonna see what the U.S. wants to do with this move. Either they're gonna say, okay, this is overextended. There's an overreaction to the weekend news of DeepSeek. Or they're just going to say that I want to get out of my positions as well. So as soon as the market opens, I want to get out of my positions, and obviously that is going to fuel this move to the downside. I do think, though, that looking at the macro and the fundamentals of this, I don't see. I looked at an interview with the CEO of, I believe, Anthropic, the AI company, and like the way that he described DeepSeek, he was very, very impressed with what they're doing, and he said, like, we're going to start using this right away. We're going to implement this into our business. This is a big deal. This is a big thing. This is going to change everything. And hearing that and seeing that, I'm thinking, yeah, this might not just be a V-shaped recovery. There might actually be some substance to this. It's going to be very interesting to see now what happens. But again, I think a move like this, I mean, if we're looking at the 4 hour, that's one of the that's a big wick on the 4 hour. That's absolutely crazy. I don't know if we have the same data feed. No, I don't think we have, or do we?
This is futures that I have on the chart here, so it might look a little different than, I think yours was NAS 100.
Yeah, I got NAS 100 on Oanda, which is a bit different than on there. We have just a big wick, but it doesn't matter. What I'm seeing is a strong move to the downside right into a support. What's the alerts you're getting there?
Oh, sorry. I have another screen that I can show you here. So that is the open there. Let me add my other screen here. I got to stop this one and add another one. So I keep two screens up.
In the meantime, I have the ANQ chart on. There we go. I'm gonna put your screen back on.
So this is what I'm paying attention to. This might kind of make your eyes go a little bit crazy, but this is on
That's
the
the
left.
ADX, isn't it?
It is. Did you say ADX?
Yeah, it is, but it's the D minus and the D plus, which is part of the ADX, correct?
Exactly. So on the bottom here, this is the blue line is ADX, so the average directional index, I think is what it stands for, and that just tells how strong the move is. And so I'm looking for a threshold of 20, and I wanted it to be over. So not surprising that ADX is moving higher, but just shows that the move up is still pretty strong. So yes, that's the ADX. And these two charts are not time-based. They're the 40 range, 40R. Sorry, all my alerts are. Can you hear the alert?
Yeah, I can hear them.
I might have to turn them off because I'm about to get a lot of alerts here.
I think when you share the screen, I think there's like an option to also share the sound.
No, I muted it. It's okay now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I'm about to blow up with alerts here, but So this is a non-time based chart, which is a little bit confusing to my eyes, which is why I do the chart that I originally showed and also this one. 40 range on the left and 100 range. And so basically I'm using the 100 range as a higher time frame idea and then the 40R as a sort of intermediate term. And the alerts that are going off, I need to get a better system where I can have just when all the alerts are positive so that I can get alerted once instead of over and over again. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at on the NASDAQ.
Nice, I like that. So I really like this because this is rather unique. I think you're the first person coming on here to show this this setup and this combination. Could you? And you did explain that it was not time based, right? It's and that's why
Right.
you have the 40R, I guess, time frame settings up there.
Yeah. So let me take this off to clean it up a little bit, and I can talk you through what I'm looking at. This is the actual. If you were to use TradingView, this is what you would see, and basically it's whatever range you designate. So this is a 40 range. I think it's 10 points. So every time price moves 10 points, it'll create a new candle, which is why you see the candles coming up really quickly versus when you look at a time-based chart, you know, it's a new candle every minute or every 15 minutes. This is just based on the movement. And then I have North Star day trading dynamic trend candles. This just gives me an idea of where the momentum is. You know, are we in a move higher or are we in a move lower, along with the moving average? And then ADX is helpful to me because if ADX is really low, it means that I can't necessarily have a very tight stop. But the higher ADX is, the stronger the move is in a directional sense. And so the tighter the stop I can have. I don't really modify it necessarily, but I don't want to have a 10-point stop if ADX is super low because it means most likely price is just chopping around.
All right, this is very good stuff. This is a very interesting way because this is pure technical analysis. There's no real market structure analysis. It's simply just looking at momentum and the strength of the move. So this is a very, this is very, I like it. Very, very impressive, actually. Definitely have to look at this closer. And
Deanna, I suppose this is just one component of your trade plan, right? You use this to gauge the momentum, the power of the move.
Right.
And I suppose this is only one signal among the many you have before you get into a trade, right?
So what I'm looking at right now, what you're looking at is everything that I would need to take a signal. So so this is it. This is it.
Okay. I thought you would. So you don't combine this with, let's say, price action. You just take the momentum at its purest form and you just follow it.
Right. So I do still love price action, and so I do watch it. Because I love it. I love, the different supply and demand zones. I like paying attention to that kind of stuff. But if I only could have one chart in order to fully execute my system, this would be it. So this is everything. The ADX, if you are struggling with chop, ADX is like the secret weapon for me. Having, like, right now, you can see ADX on the 40 range is below 20. So it's at 13.4. To me, that's a danger zone. So that means that, either the market doesn't know what it's going to do, or it hasn't picked its direction, or maybe it moved up really big and maybe we're going to move down now. But we really have no strong directional move until it goes over 20. On the higher time, well, it's not a time frame, but on the higher, the 100 range, ADX is higher. It's 27.41. So this move up has been pretty strong. Okay, now ADX on the 40 just popped up higher. So to me, this is looking like, maybe we are going to see some follow through to the upside here.
Nice. That's Very interesting.
I just got news that DeepSeek is down, so the market is free to pump, I guess, and that's exactly what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
I would not be surprised to see the market go to all time. I mean, this is crazy and it's just conjecture and, don't do anything off of this, but wouldn't it be amazing if this was like the big fake out before we're cleared now to go hit all-time highs in the next couple weeks or months?
Yeah, and that's completely logical as well. Right. I mean, sometimes you need to flush out the
weaker.
You need buyers to reach new highs. If everyone's already buying at the highs and they're adding leverage, I mean, you need those people to you need the big money. You need more buyers to come in to fuel the run to the upside. So it's just logical that everyone was so incredibly bullish at this high, and also I like the fact that you had that you showed the trend line, and then you broke out of that ascending trend line. Now what's happening is if we I'm pretty sure that I'm not sure, we're not sure about anything, but if the daily, which is likely that this daily candle does close bullishly, I mean it's definitely not impossible. We might even fill the gap, and then this would just be a big wick below that trend line. So you could look this as a fake out to the downside, and retest of the trend line. So definitely, and I mean there is a lot of momentum coming in here. I mean this is definitely the US is waking up and saying that okay, the move has already happened. This is the move. This is the panic move. There's a lot of selling pressure coming in here. I'll be interested to see what the dot.
I'm sorry, I'm going to pop my other screen up there because it is interesting to see, just along the lines of what you were saying, is really interesting that for all that we saw this morning to the downside, and it looked like a downside move was crazy, but here we are. Look at it now. We had this huge reversal from here. So we took out all this liquidity here, and now price, I mean, it seems crazy to think it could go straight up, but so far that's what it's doing.
Well, I don't think it's crazy, and I definitely don't think it's crazy to at least, pull back 50%, and then we're talking about pulling back 75%. And then of course we have the gap. We have a quite an obvious gap, and usually market participants they overreact on things like this, and when they do overreact, then it's pure psychology. What we're seeing here is psychology in play. On the European Open, everyone's just panicking and selling and thinking that okay, this is the end of the AI phase, and then everyone's just panicking and leaving the market, and the US Open wakes up and like, wait a minute, this is actually a really good level to buy. Right. Maybe this is my time to invest. So they're pushing price back up, but we'll see what happens. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens on the close of the daily candle. I usually try to plan my trades on the basis of the daily candle close. So I'm trying not to take too many positions on a Monday because I want to see that Monday price action being resolved first. And I do believe that a lot of times the European Open price action is a lot of times the fake moves, and then you see like one big move to the downside on the European Open, and then rest of the week you might see a move in the reverse direction. But for my trades, I'm hoping that at least the dollar, the Dixie here can continue downwards. We'll see. That would be good for my trades, and of course the dollar currency index moving to the downside would also, of course, be bullish for risk assets. We might see that move up on Nasdaq as well. S&P 500, of course. Yeah, Victor, you wait a minute. The E-mini, that's the Nasdaq. Your E-mini on Nasdaq, okay.
Yeah, these are the Nasdaq futures.
Yep.
So now we're starting to see, a little bit. So the momentum is still strong to the upside, but price is starting to kind of stall out there. So the first half hour after the open is pretty volatile, and it can either be a good time to avoid, or it can be a really great time to trade, depending on what works for you. There's a lot more volatility most often.
Would it make sense to ride that first wave of momentum for the first 20 minutes or so?
It can be. I mean, it just depends on where you entered. I don't like to enter too close to the open. I would rather wait. And so, wait a little bit if I haven't already entered into a position. And maybe you only wait like the first 15 minutes or so, but let some of the chaos clear out and then see what's going to happen. So if you're looking at, sorry, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
Oops. This channel here is really interesting. So the on the 4 hour, we had this channel, and price pierced through, and we're already to the top of that channel now. So, be interesting to see if price will continue. I would not be surprised to see, like I said, let's see where 50% is. So there's a fair value gap and imbalance right at the 50%. We haven't quite hit that yet. That's around, at least on futures, 21,400-ish. So a little bit higher, and that might be an area where if price is going to continue lower, maybe we would see some kind of reaction there. Or maybe price would go even deeper into a pullback before going lower, but it's hard to say right now. It's just kind of a wait and see for me. Exactly what's going to happen. It's ADX is starting to slow down on the 40R. And so it does seem like price has not fully made up its mind of exactly what way we're going to go yet. What's the L word?
Yeah, I don't know. Henry said the L word. I don't know what L word.
I don't know what Henry is referring to, but
oh, look at that. China's Deep Six Sparks AM market. Got the news coming out there from Reuters, or is it Reuters or Raptors?
I think Reuters is how people say it.
Yeah, okay. Reuters, of course.
It is.
Oh, liquidity. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Liquidity. Okay.
Am I giving myself away as the ICT?
Yeah. You are talking a lot about ICT concepts here. Have you learned? Have you gone through ICT concepts when you've learned to trade?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So have
I'm steering away from it, to be perfectly honest. Just I've been trying to mentally steer away from it a little bit, because it has gotten a little bit chaotic and crazy, but there are really good takeaways from ICT, and
of course,
imbalances are hugely helpful. Liquidity, the L. Okay, I get it now. The L word. Liquidity is hugely helpful to pay attention to.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely, for me personally, I've had quite a negative experience with ICT traders and the whole ICT following. But it's very important to also mention when talking about this that there's technical analysis is technical analysis. It's and there's if you're a technical trader, there's many different ways of trading. But I see, for example, when you put your fibs on, you look at probably the optimal trade entry. I believe that area is called. While for me, I talk about that area as the reload zone, which is basically the exact same thing, and we're trading in the exact same thing. And when you talk about a retest of a fair value gap, that would be like a break and retest setup for me. So when we talk about ICT here, a lot of times, if I'm going to be honest, in quite a negative way, it's not about the systems and the traders using the system. It's more about the culture that has been created around the phenomenon, right? And I think that is kind of getting a little bit over the top, but it doesn't matter. We're all here.
And I personally learned a lot from ICT. I would not. I want to be a little careful about what I say. I definitely learned a lot from ICT. I think there are other ways to learn and talk about it, but that terminology is really helpful. So not saying that ICT is the first to create it or anything like that, But for me, that's how I came across it on YouTube. And those concepts, whether you attribute them to ICT or somebody else, are quite helpful and, have really, give you sort of like a language to understand what could, like, for example, when I was trading, sorry, a lot of alerts here. When I first started trading, I noticed, the liquidity sweeps, or, you enter the trade, get stopped out, and then the trade goes on without you. And I noticed that and knew about that, but never knew a way to capitalize on it. And for me, understanding ICT concepts was the first time that I realized, oh yeah, you can use that to your advantage. You can use that knowledge to your advantage. So again, whether you want to attribute it to ICT or not, but there is a reason that his videos are so popular. But it's not the end, the end all be all. There are a lot of ways to think about it.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like the it does seem like the market is
recovering in a V shape, making a V shape. Maybe I should maybe I could put my screen on with your
I'm just
permission,
gonna
Deanna.
be back in a couple of minutes. Okay, we are back.
Perfect. If you allow me, Diana, I'll put my screen on.
Sure. Okay.
I have here the market the charts of NASDAQ, right? And if I start my top-down analysis, right, to look at, does this reaction make sense? That's the question that I'm asking myself. Does it make sense for us to go up from here and not come back, or not have a continuation, right? Because that impulsive move makes everyone thinks that this could be the beginning of a much bigger move, right? It's a the question, right? Do we bounce from here, or do we continue to go lower, right? Mm-hmm. If I see that on the weekly time frame, we are in a fresh order block, which is being retested as we speak. It's an immediate retest because it hasn't left the order block yet. And so it makes sense that this area is going to be defended. How much, that time will tell, but it's going to be defended, or it's likely to be defended because of that fact. If we go to the daily order block or the daily time frame, we see that we have an established downtrend from the top, right? We have an established downtrend, and well, you can use it like so for the downtrend, or use the neckline, whichever way you do it, doesn't matter. It broke that last swing high, or that neckline, for that reversal pattern. So we do have, in terms of the quasi, not the trend, but the quasi, this is the structure that we have. We have a minimum of lower low, lower highs to form that established downtrend, and we break that line, right? That happened last week, and this is the retest of that structure, that reversal quasi that we had way before DeepSeek submarine company came up with the news. That's a little joke there. So we have the entry, the order blocks, the daily order blocks, they're waiting, indicating where buyers are likely to be respecting, going to be defending the price as it comes down. The first one didn't do anything. As we see, it went all the way down and through it. But the second one, it doesn't take much imagination to realize or to think that this order block did do its job. It did defend, and price wasn't able to violate the lower border of that. And if we go to a lower time frame as well, so we have the weekly, right? We have the daily, telling us that this is a great area as we zoom in, this to be a great place to buyers to come in. And then on the H4, right, my H4 neckline is the same place as the daily. I can identify two order blocks, right? Only two where they're likely to price is likely to have some kind of reaction of. And the first one wasn't reacted. It didn't invalidate it in so much that it didn't close below it, but it was actually the lower order block that was neatly reacted upon. It couldn't pierce it as much, and we have this huge pin bar formed
Mhm.
afterwards on the H4. So it makes a lot of sense by using the weekly, daily, and the 4 hour, to me, that this could be the low of the day and maybe the low of the next couple of sessions, because it makes sense that the buyers would be coming here and defending this line, which is, to me, if you have the weekly, the daily, and the H4 in alignment, you definitely should expect some kind of impactful reaction from, and that's what we have. So I don't, of course, I don't have any idea if this is going to be the V-shaped reaction that it looks to be having, if it's indeed going to just continue to go up as it is already doing so. I don't know if that's going to continue to happen for sure, but it makes sense to me looking at all those higher time frame. They are in alignment, so I would think that yes, this well could be the low of the day, and possibly for the next couple of sessions as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of split. I could see either direction, and I'm just going to focus on responding to what happens, because your analysis makes complete sense to me. Do you use the 4 hour? I don't think you did. You use the 4 hour?
Yes.
Okay. So to me, when I'm looking at the 4 hour, so we have this series of lower lows and lower highs, and then we did break that last see how there's like the three tops there, the three lower highs. Price broke above it, but to me, I wouldn't consider that a market structure shift necessarily, because it went above, but not totally, not in my opinion, like enough necessarily. So
Okay.
I could see it going, I could make an argument mentally either way. I agree with what you're saying, and I could also say, maybe not. It didn't make it that far. It did technically make a higher high, but not that much further over that point. So is that really a market structure break? Now, I was thinking that we might see continuation, but when we had this huge drop off, it kind of makes me think maybe there will be further downside, and this huge recovery could just be temporary. It could go either way, I think. I
Yes,
don't
of
know.
course. Yeah. I think you definitely have a point in that. My way of looking at is market structure shift, or a break of structure in my case, as I call them. There's difference all the time, and it's kind of a personal where you draw the line,
Yeah,
right? Is it
that's
too much? Is
exactly
it enough of a break or not? So yes, I definitely can see this. If you go to to zoom out, we can definitely see that a healthy retracement to lower levels would make a lot of sense. So in
Mhm.
that sense, there is of course merits to what you're saying, right? This could easily, and we have also on the weekly time frame to a combination. I didn't mention this because it's not as a recent, but we did have some accumulation of structure, very structure being created and retested successfully. And I think this could be the task for next at the end of this week, perhaps next week. Are these structures, these various structures, what is price going to do when it hits
Right.
them again? Because it already retested one, which was this order block. Let me show everyone. It's this order block, fresh one that was created. It is an outside bar. It's not an outside bar. I'm sorry, almost an outside bar. It was retested immediately, and afterwards for two times, creating not one, well, actually just one order block, a fresh new one. And this current two candles on the weekly time frame is now showing a bearish order block again to be printed, but it hasn't printed it yet. I think that could be one of the signs for longer term. Where are we going to go next? If this closes as a bearish engulfing, then I think, even though the case that I made is for a reversal, for some kind of a push, not necessarily a continuation all the way to continue the upward trend, but a push to some structure above us, meaning that this low we had today could well be the low of the next couple of sessions. Not necessarily that's going to be the down lowest point for the next couple of weeks, but just for a couple of sessions at least. And I think that the task would be, what is price going to do when it gets back to this structure that it has already created and retested? And are we going to form another structure this end of this week, right? Because if it closes anywhere near it is right now, that would be a bearish order block, and that would be the third created and well, not all of them respected, but the two first one were nicely respected. The third one, it tells me that there's a lot of selling pressure coming into the market, and that could certainly make the case that price is going to continue much lower, which both of them can still be true, because I am, of course, on the lower time frame, which tells me that I'm not sure how far this move is going to go, but it makes a lot of sense that from this point, we will, and we are already seeing it, we will have a big move. How big is the question, but a big move into higher places. And of course, we see that fair value gap as well. That could be a little cue. How does price react as it reaches that area? Do we see reversal patterns being constructed or not? That could be the indication if we are, have a continuation later on to the downside or not.
All right, I think we're coming up to the end of our 2 hours here. It's been time flies when you're having fun. I think we had some really good conversations here. We not a lot of live trading today, but really some good conversation here about trading psychology. I'm very interested to see how you're trading, Deanna, and the way you're looking at those charts as well. Very differently from what we usually see here in the trading room. So that's definitely a breath of fresh air coming in here. Love it.
Great. Thank you so much for having me today. It was great chatting with you all. Looking forward to seeing how this market unfolds.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. I think, that does feel like we're going to run this back quite quickly. There's a lot of momentum to the upside. Not really seeing this slowing down, but you never know. Let's see.
You don't. And it can be really helpful to have, like, I love that it's really helpful to have that fluidity of thought, to really have a scenario for either direction. Because like I said, I'm thinking we might see more downside, but I'm in a long trade because currently that's what is happening. So it's interesting. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Victor.
No problem. We want to thank you for being with us. You bring so much knowledge and insight on the psychological part, but as well on how you approach the market, your trading. So I think the people in the audience really appreciate you being here, and that's why you are part of the team.
And next week you're going to be back. You're going to be back next week, same time. And for those of you watching, it's going to be much different next week, and we have not announced anything just yet, but the whole trading room is going to look and feel much different next week. We're going to be live for much longer. We're going to have more people, and we're going to be trading live, doing you're going to see it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. Can't say more than that. Okay, that's it. Thank you for joining, guys, and we'll see you you'll see me and Victor tomorrow. Right. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Hi guys, so thank you very much for watching the video. Now make sure you like and subscribe, and most of all, go into the YouTube and check our other content that we provide here at The 5ers. We'll see you in the next one.